good evening and welcome to the Gooner Ramble. This is an Arsenal podcast and I'm your host Jasper. With me tonight is our Essex boy, it's James.
Hey,
how you doing, mate?
Right? Yeah,
James,
right.
James would like you all to know that he is on Tinder, just in case any women listening of a certain age. We also welcome back Clive after a bit of an absence, and your fans will be so grateful. Clive, welcome back.
I have fans, do I? I better do my job.
Yeah, both of them, your mum and your dad. Cool. So we're very happy and relieved. We just watched Arsenal beat Everton 2-1. It was cagey at times, but I was never in any doubt. So we'll go straight to the lineup. Obviously, no Mertesacker or Ramsey. Ramsey's injured. Mertesacker apparently was ill, someone told me. Theo rested to the bench, and Giroud starts. That was the main change compared to the Bayern game and the last few games. So anything stood out to you, Clive, that was wrong or that you would have done differently, or what did you make of it?
No, I think post or pre the press conference for the Everton game, Wenger sort of alluded that Giroud might get a chance, and there's no surprise really to see him start. I think the big debate was how we were going to replace Ramsey. I'm not sure if it was a debate, but there were some opinions about Oxlade-Chamberlain and whether he is on form or not. I'm sure we'll talk about him later.
We will.
Gabriel started again. I was okay with that because I'm looking at the Everton team and looking at the sort of speed they have. I was sort of quite pleased. When we're at home, sometimes we can overcommit. I think sometimes at home, Gabriel's a great choice. So I was pleased to see him there. Obviously, our new hero, our goalkeeper, was in there, so we all felt pretty comfortable with that. And the rest of the team really picked itself. There was a debate about Alexis, and he has looked a bit leggy, and I'm sure we'll talk about him as well. But the team looks good, nicely shaped, no problems.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about Alexis actually, because when I was at the Bayern game, he looked really tired. Everything was bouncing off his arse, gave the ball away twice. He just looked knackered, which is understandable after all the Copa America stuff, and then the intensity of the Man United games, etc. And he played every game, almost every minute since he got back. So if anyone was going to be rested or rotated, I thought it'd be him, but apparently not.
Sorry, mate. With Alexis, you can almost tell when he's not quite there. You're absolutely right. His technique is just a fraction off. So his speed of feet is just a bit slower. So he gets caught. And when his passing timing goes out, the effort doesn't change, the focus doesn't change, but the execution on his delivery does change. And we can all see it. And when we watch him, we're sort of like watching and thinking, oh, please don't pull a hamstring, please don't pull a hamstring. Because he puts so much effort in. And that's how you watch the game. You know that the squad isn't really big enough to cope with losing him. So it puts a bit of fear into your watching pleasure, really.
And you're right. It does come down to fractions of a second, doesn't it? You see him get a shot away and you think, 6 weeks ago or whatever, or even 4 weeks ago, that's going in, and it's just tiny little margins. But he still makes all the effort. Yeah. Anyway, James, did you have any particular feelings one way or the other on the lineup?
Yeah, I got proved wrong as per. It keeps happening a lot this year, and I was happy to see Gabriel back. I think Mertesacker played out of his skin against Bayern Munich the other night, and he was in the Champions League Team of the Week for first time in God knows how long he's been in that. So he probably was a bit, some of them, like you said, fatigued and a bit tired. But the way Walcott's been going, all right, he hasn't scored for a couple of games now, but
yeah, Mertesacker was great against Bayern, wasn't he?
In regards of Walcott, I thought, the form he's been on, and with Everton as well, they're quite, Stones and Jagielka are big boys, I thought playing Giroud, if we're going to go for the crosses and everything else, go for the type of long game, it's not going to work. And for the first couple of minutes when you're watching the game, the spaces in behind were massive, and I was like, oh, why didn't you start Theo? This is exactly... But then, he proved me wrong. We cross it in, he heads it, so happy days.
Yeah, I did think as the game drew on that we were going to bring on Theo because we spent a lot of time camped in their half. With Giroud, obviously doesn't move as much at the speed that Theo does, so I thought we're going to end up with a situation where we're trying to unpick the parked bus kind of thing. But even though they weren't really parking the bus, but I thought it was going to get a bit stagnant, and if Theo came on, he would tear the defence around a lot and drag them out of position. But we never brought him on, and it didn't matter in the end. So anyway. To the game itself, we basically dominated possession from the beginning. I think in the end the stat was something like 57%. And we created so many chances. I mean, I started to write them down as I watched the game, but in the end I just gave up because there was chance after chance after chance. Giroud kept knocking the ball down to Ozil. And then Ozil was putting balls through to Alexis, fantastic stuff. Just really dominating the game. And Everton didn't really, in that first half, have too many chances. It was that one that Cech palmed down to John Stones, and he sort of sliced it over the bar, didn't he? But other than that, they didn't put up too much of a threat, especially when you consider that they've got Barkley and others. What do you make of the first half, Clive?
Yeah, so when the game started, right, so I'm looking at their lineup and I'm looking at De La Feu, right, so he's got good memories about playing at the Emirates, so I'm thinking, okay, you don't play well every week, but you always play well at Arsenal, so that was an interesting one. You picked Neil Lennon on the left rather than Morales, and that's like a real sort of bit of kudos to Bellerin, because in my opinion Martinez was marking Bellerin and he knew that Lennon could stay with him for pace rather than play Morales, who's more experienced in that sort of role. So that was really interesting. So straight away I'm looking at Everton and thinking, okay, you picked your fast team, you picked your mobile team, you dropped Naismith out, you dropped Morales out, you want speedsters on the pitch, right? You want Barkley to carry the ball, transition, get it through to Lukaku, hopefully get him isolated one of the centre-backs and see what happens. Right, that's why I was pleased to see Gabriel start. Everton were looking for transitions, quick transitions. We do our tip-tap around the box, they go bang and try to hit us. So I thought, first off, I'm looking at the game, and James, you're right, you're thinking all that space there for Theo. But you know what, Everton wouldn't have played so high if Theo was playing. And that's the irony, really. When Giroud plays, people press him. And when Theo plays, they drop a little bit deeper, right? So that's why players like Coquelin are so important, because when he gets the ball, the other teams are not ready and are not set. They could be slightly higher. That's when Theo goes straight in and they move it really, really quickly. So what I was really pleased about today was how smoothly we changed styles to the Giroud style from the Theo style. And the key men on doing that in the first half was really Cazorla and Ozil, right? And their sort of pass combinations, Cazorla passed to Ozil 20 times, and Ozil passed to Cazorla 16 times. The two highest pass combinations on the pitch. That tells you who was running the game, right? So what's really impressive about those two is that they did play against Bayern, and of all the players that played against Bayern and really dragged that emotional energy or lack of emotional energy into this game, I thought those two were absolutely outstanding how they ran the game, right? So I thought it was a very interesting setup. Obviously, we got our goals for free. I'm sure you're going to touch on them. I call them free goals, set-piece goals. And I think although we had 20 shots, it was hard to create when we are not quite at our sort of mental freshness. We don't create our chances open play so easily. So I think although we weren't super sharp, a little bit fatigued, I thought our mental focus on the game was really, really excellent. And it really showed up in the first half.
Yeah, we did create loads of chances, and we should have had more. Really, we're just lacking a bit of a clinical finish at the end. But I put that down to the demands of the midweek game, how much everybody run around. I mean, I think we did well to play as well as we did after that. That was pretty intense, that game, and I think the stats said that we ran as a team 40 kilometres more than we do on average. So we can't be too. You can't moan too much about that, especially when you get the points. James, what would you make of that first half?
Yeah, it was okay. Like Clive was saying, we were really dominating, and I do agree. Yeah, they probably would have sat a lot deeper if Theo was playing. It's just that's just the way it is. But the goals, I was happy. Especially with Koscielny. We get slagged off a lot that we don't take the set pieces very well, and sometimes the corner never really beats the first man, and we got these brilliant players, or the free kicks or whatever. We got these brilliant players, like Koscielny, that's very good in the air. Mertesacker's good in the air. Gabriel had a chance as well. He's very good in the air. Giroud, just a lot of players that are good in the air that we can use, and it was good. It was good to use them, so it was happy. But in regards of everything else, yeah, just Ozil and Cazorla again had an absolute masterclass, which they keep doing, and some of the other players as well, like Bellerin. I know you said we won't touch on Bayern Munich a lot, but against Bayern Munich he was amazing. He was absolutely amazing. Again today, just solid. Monreal again as well. A few years back, Monreal with his aerials, he wasn't very good. He'd get caught in the air, and then people would be behind him, and they'd run in and cross it, and sometimes they'd score. And this year he heads it out for a throw in, or he heads it back to another defender. He's really, really good. I think that might have been from when he had his spell at centre back, but just superb. He's doing a job. And Coquelin as well. All right, he got booked and he had to be a bit careful, but he timed his tackles after that, and we're all we're happy as Larry. But then the goal we concede, I don't know if you wanted to touch on our goals we scored a bit more first before I jump into that, or...
Yeah, well, I'll start with the goals we scored because they came first. So the first one was obviously, Ozil found himself up on the right wing, didn't he? The Ox made a bit of space for him, and then he just put that peachy ball through onto Giroud's head, basically. And he's so good in the air. He knows sometimes he's got a hand on the top of his head because he can direct the ball wherever he wants. And he knew that with that one, he just needed to scuff it slightly just to lift it a couple of inches over the keeper. And he finished it really well. So yeah, it was a fantastic goal. Yet another assist to Ozil. And then just what seemed like 2 minutes later, Cazorla put that free kick in a very dangerous place, and Koscielny smashed it in. So yeah, two brilliant goals in a row. You could tell by Koscielny's celebration that meant a lot to him. He's a passionate player. He doesn't often get a chance to show it, but I thought he was great. And then of course, their goal. It sort of reminded me a little bit of the Arsenal of a few years ago where we kept getting caught on the counter, except that we always get more players back these days. There was the Ox was bombing back, and Cazorla was running back, and it was lucky because Barkley's shot took a massive deflection, so they got a bit of luck with that. But really, we shouldn't have left ourselves that exposed, and it all came from Oxlade-Chamberlain basically trying to shoot through a crowd of legs, which was not a great decision. But anyway, what's your opinion on those three goals, Clive?
Yeah, set piece goals. It's quite interesting today. I thought Gabriel really showed up in their box, really, that he attacks the ball with such speed and no fear, that he's a massive threat on offensive set pieces. And Arsenal, I love it when Arsenal look coached, right? So what Gabriel, Giroud and Koscielny did is they sort of stood in a little line and sort of held each other, which meant no Everton player could get between them and block them off. Then they made 3 different runs in 3 different spots in the box. They did it at pace, and the service was good. And I just love seeing that little bit of extra organisation because it paid off today. We were really dangerous, not just on the goals, but before the goals. I thought we looked threatening. We had a couple just went over. So that was good to see because you can't always play beautiful football and win your games. You got to have some ugly goals now and again, and we got sort of 2 ugly-ish goals today, and we got 3 points and we're top of the league. And on the Everton goal, you're absolutely right, Jasper. I think the Ox saw Bellerin, he saw him, and then he had a couple of extra touches, and then the run had gone. Galloway, who I thought was really impressive, by the way, the left back, blocked off the lane, so he forced him to shoot. Now that, if you shoot and you get blocked, and then of course they break, in hindsight, it is massive hindsight. You either bring the ball out to Bellerin, try to combine to him and run around Galloway and get across in that way. By shooting, you better shoot big. You better shoot into the crowd. If you get blocked, the break is always on. So 1 minute before half time, that's where the experience comes in. You shoot big, put it to Rosehead, jog away. but he shot, didn't go through the legs. Goes to the legs, bottom corner, we love him. But he got blocked, and the way they broke. And then we recovered with real recovery pace. But again, if you watch the Ox, he got back, got next to him, and then stopped. And what that did...
He did.
Gabriel didn't press the space, right? So he thought, he's going to keep running. He'll just block him off, and I'll stand behind him and go 2-on-1. But he just stopped right next to him and said, well, I'm here, now you do what you want. But that meant Gabriel was too far off, so when he put his leg out, he got a deflection, and it was unlucky, but I think if the Ox had just gone 2 or 3 more yards, not even 1 yard, I think Barkley would have turned out, and we'd have got players back, so these are just the small margins, right, that go against you. If you think about to the Bayern game, just before half-time when Alexis gave that square ball and they run in, Cech makes a great save. That goes in. We're looking at Alexis and we're thinking, what's up with you? You're too tired. You shouldn't be playing. But, we got away with it and we get the 2-0 win and everyone loves it, right? So fine margins, right? Sometimes it goes for you and sometimes it goes against you.
Yeah, absolutely. James, you wanted to mention something about that.
Yeah, can I just say, Clive, you were absolutely spot on there about it with Chamberlain. I thought that, it's near half-time and you don't let Barkley shoot. I think, like you said about Gallo, I think Barkley's an incredibly gifted player. All right, last season he dipped, he had a few injuries, but he's come back in this year and he is a really, really exciting player. I love Ross Barkley. But I just thought, shoulder barge him, take the card. It's a free kick, all right, it's a sort of dangerous area, but you never know, take the free kick. And he just literally did stop. He just stood there and let it happen. And, all right, he got the deflection of Gabriel, but you don't let Ross Barkley shoot like that. From range, he's an absolute, superstar at scoring these long range type goals. He'd done it for England the other week from about, 20 odd yards as well. And you just left him to shoot there, and it was annoying in the build up as well. He had Bellerin in so much space, and he looked up and you could see, but he still tried the shot, and he got absolute pelters on my timeline. Chamberlain, absolute pelters, and people going, you talk about why do you want you hate Ramsey at right midfield, and I do as well. I agree, I do as well. But at the times for me, Chamberlain defensively is not that all there yet, and I've said it on Twitter, and I do agree. I think Baldy needs to take him to one side, and help him out or something. Put him in some defensive drills, because offensively and everything else, he's near enough perfect for me. I think he's brilliant. In the second half, he puts that ball in, and if Giroud was just a few yards quicker, it's another goal. It was a fantastic pass.
Yeah,
I'm glad you brought up the Ox, actually, because yeah, we are actually. I'll start it off and then I'll come over to you, Clive. But I'll start off by saying that we all love the Ox. He's a very exciting player. We've been watching him since he broke through, and we're always thinking, imagine what he can become, And he has these moments of brilliance. He scored against Chelsea, didn't he, in the Community Shield? And he's everybody's favourite player in some ways, but at the moment he is not on form. And last season he has injuries, then he had purple patches, and it's very sort of inconsistent. And one thing he's always been guilty of, really, whether he's on form or not, is giving the ball away in dangerous places. He did it once already this season in the Premier League. I can't remember who it was against. Then there was the famous one, was it Monaco or Olympiacos, one of those Champions League games? We gave the ball away and then we lost 3-2 or something. But anyway, I was watching him against Bayern Munich the other night, and he came on as a sub, and he just so happened that my seat in the upper tier was overlooking him on that right-hand side. And I watched him, and he basically, when he attacks. We all know what he can do. He can go on great dribbling runs. He's got an explosive pace, and when he gets into the right position, he's got an explosive shot as well. But when he was tracking back, everyone in that game worked harder than they normally did. Everyone was positionally aware. They were intensely focused. Otherwise, we would have lost it. And he was the only one that, when he did track back, he sort of did it at a very slow, nonchalant pace. Like, I'll just trot over here, and he spots the player, but he doesn't run to get goal side of him. He just sort of wanders over there. And the thing is, if the ball doesn't get passed to him, he gets away with that. But if someone fires a quick ball to that guy, then bang, he's the wrong side of him, and it's too late. It's too late to run back and turn on the afterburners then, because the guy's in possession, he's facing your goal, and he's either going to put a cross in or he's going to score. And he was just very sort of relaxed and lackadaisical about his tracking back, and everyone else was right on their toes, and chasing everyone down. And I just thought, look, I don't know whether this is arrogance, I don't know whether this is linked to your fantastic banter. He sees his videos on Arsenal.com where he's so funny, winding up Chesney and all the rest of them, and whether at that he's sort of a little bit of a Jack the Lad and doesn't feel like he has to do the hard work, but he wasn't putting in the effort that everybody else was. And then he takes a risk, has a bad touch, and then at the end of the game, that ball dropped to him after Ozil actually scored, although we didn't know he'd scored, did we? And he absolutely fluffed that chance, put it way over the bar, and that was another opportunity. Then, okay, we'd already scored, but it's just another example of he's just not there at the moment. The touch isn't there, the decision making's wrong, and the tracking back is wrong. And when he's having a bad game, I think the team really suffers, and that's why Ramsey's got so many games out of position, because I just think that Ozil can't nick that position back from him. Now's his chance. There's Rosicki's injured, Jack's injured, Joel Campbell is not fancied particularly. This is the chance for him to nick Ramsey's spot. And today was a great chance because Ramsey's finally got injured, but he still isn't really taking it, is he? Because, the Ox left Galloway alone when Galloway came in and put that header wide of Cech's near post. That should have been a goal. We just talked about how he fired the ball into a crowd of legs that led to the counter-attack that led to the goal. But there was also other poor decisions, and I hate to be complaining about him because he's one of those exciting players, like I said, we love to watch. But at the moment, he's just not doing it.
I think it's a case of, I think maybe they're waiting for Danny Welbeck to come back if Ramsey, God knows how long Ramsey's going to be out for, but I think maybe Danny Welbeck will play on the right because of the, his work rate as well is top notch. A lot of people knock Danny Welbeck for maybe his finishing and everything else, but his work rate is incredible. You can't knock that. The boy will run and run and run for you. And I don't want to really give Oxlade absolute pelters, and when he come off today he did grab his hamstring and stuff. I don't know if he's nursing something as well, so hopefully not. But
you raise a good point, actually. Sorry to interrupt. You raised a good point about Welbeck, because there are plenty of people that can take that right spot. It isn't nailed down by anyone, is it? Because Ox is a right winger effectively that can play in midfield. Ramsey's definitely not a right winger. Jack is definitely not a right winger. Campbell is, as I said, is coming through. Welbeck can play on the right. So
Campbell's coming out as well. You have no idea, do you? Is he in? Is he out? Are we selling him? Are we keeping him?
Well, we don't know what's going on. But the point I'm making is that if you look at realistic competition in that position, Ramsey and Jack don't want to play there. So he's really only competing with Welbeck. So he's got to put in performances now that give Wenger a headache, but he's not. As soon as Welbeck comes back, if he come back tomorrow, bang, he'll be straight in for the next game, because Ox is just not putting his case forward. He's not making a point. He's not proving a point. Do you know what I mean? We all know what he can do, but at the moment, he was poor for England before he came back from international break, and he's got to turn it around. Otherwise, Welbeck will nail it down, or Ramsey will nail it down, and someone else will, and that'll be it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
We all done?
Go for it, Clive.
All right, I've sat here quietly. Right, so let me take you back a little bit, right? So, pre-season, who was our best player?
Yeah,
Probably him. Right? Mm-hmm. He has played probably better than I've ever seen him play. He looked fitter, he looked quicker, he looked lighter. He stood out like a light bulb compared to absolutely everybody else who was playing brilliant in pre-season. Come the first couple of games of the season, the first mistake he makes, he's dropped. His confidence has dropped straight down. And everyone keeps telling me that Ramsey's a confidence player. Well, I don't think so at all. I think Ramsey's overconfident, and some of his selections he makes show that, right? But Oxlade-Chamberlain is a confidence player. His confidence is really quite low today. And today's game was a real, sort of a mirror image of his season, because he started that game pretty steady. He made a couple of mistakes. There weren't massive mistakes. That pitch was a little bit overwatered. There were lots of players playing short and slow passes, getting cut out. No drama. 2-0 up, nothing going wrong. He makes one bad decision on the edge of our own box. He ends up in the goal. A bit unlucky. And I could hear the crowd. I could almost hear it through the TV. They were really impatient with him. I'm thinking, what is wrong with people? Okay, we're just about to go top the league. There is no way that Arsenal can win the league with 11 players. The most important players in our squad are the ones who are on the bench. A few weeks back, we absolutely all slaughtered Giroud after the Zagreb game. Well, no one's slaughtering him today, right? People are saying, sell him, we should have bought Benzema. We've got to wise up, right? No league is going to be won with 11 players. We're going to need that 16, 17 minimum. And Ox is in that number. He's in the 14, right? So he's a key player for us. And if he does get back to that pre-season form, he is more than good enough to play for any top 4 club, including us. Right, okay, yes, my issue with the Ox, actually, that's his 3rd Premiership start today. That's his 3rd Premiership start. And everyone's saying, he's got to take a chance. Well, let's give him a chance. My only issue with him is actually sometimes he looks a little bit heavy. I think he's one of those players that, like Rooney is, that if he doesn't play, he looks a little bit lumpy, a little bit heavy, and he hasn't got that anaerobic fitness to get up and down the pitch. So what he does, he plays in bursts. And when it works, everyone goes, oh, what a great player. And when it doesn't work, you say, well, where was he? He's not working hard enough, he's not doing this. Trust me, give that guy 4 or 5 games, and he came off with cramp in the calves, and that's when you realise he's only had 3 games. We really need to stay with him, and I learnt a lesson, because I was one of those people slaughtering Giroud after Zagreb. But no one was slaughtering him after Bayern Munich, and no one was slaughtering him after today, where he put in an absolute man-of-the-match performance. And his confidence is now back. And the same can happen with Oxlade-Chamberlain. He's 22 years of age. He's in England's first 11 team. I don't understand why people are killing him and how that's going to benefit Arsenal. We absolutely need to support him. We need to support Ramsey. We need to support Jack. We need to support every one of them, because this group has got a real chance. And the focus they showed today, I have not seen that focus post a Champions League game. That's a classic 2-2 or 1-1 or 0-0 game where we have a chance to go top, but we don't quite take it. Well, that group today showed a great focus. And if you watch Oxlade-Chamberlain after half-time, when he made that run through the centre, for the next 15 minutes, he was on it. He had 2 or 3 runs, great passes. Then he had the great cross to Giroud where he smashed that across the box and it could have been a goal. And you saw in that 10-15 minutes, there's a player in there that just needs something good to happen. And when it does, he's going to be unstoppable. And we shouldn't be comparing him to Ramsey. If anything, the player that he's most like is like Alexis. He's loose, he's risky, he's dynamic, he makes bad choices. But the only thing Alexis does better than him is that he works back better. And the Ox will get that if he has more time and more minutes. So that's my view on it. I just think we can't win the league with 11 players. And we saw today an average Everton side really rinse us out. And that's because we were tired. They're at home watching Bargain Hunt on Tuesday, right? While we are out there playing a hard Champions League game. And it showed late in the game, and we fought and held on and won it. And that's huge, right? And we're going to need... I wish we had Welbeck. I wish we had Jack, right? Because we'll be going to Sheffield Wednesday in the week, and I'll be confident we can win. I'm not sure if we've got enough players to even rotate to allow the ones we need to rest. So I just want to see us support him a little bit more, because we're going to need him for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you on the Sheffield thing, but you're making a slightly different point to the one that I was, because I do support him. It's not that I don't get behind him.
Mate, not you, mate. My timeline was like James's, absolutely full of people, right, killing him, and I'm thinking, what are we doing? What are we doing here? I mean, we are not going to win nothing without him. We're not going to win nothing without Giroud. We're just not going to do it, right? You think
we always have to have a scapegoat, Clive? Though that's the thing. Every game, there's always got to be. And for weeks before it was Ramsey, and now it seems to be that right mid position when Walcott used to play. Oh, fucking Walcott, fucking Ramsey. It just seems to be whoever is in that right midfield gets that slap with
it can't
abuse.
The top level football now is so intense that we're going to need them all, right? And my worry is we haven't got enough. not the ones that we've got. I want more like him.
I tell you what, funny you say that. Why we haven't got enough is that been having this thought the last few games that when I look at the bench, people might say I'm crazy. I might be the only one that thinks this. I've never actually said it out loud before, but I look at the bench and I think it's not good enough. And people are going to say, well, what are you talking about? It's the best squad we've ever had for ages, and it kind of is. But when I look at it and I think, okay, the only person on there that can actually change a game is Giroud. Right, so you got. Let's say we had played a game with Theo up front like we had the last 4 or 5. The only person on there that can actually change something really in a game is Giroud, and you tend to have your spare goalkeeper. You got Kieran Gibbs on there. You got Arteta and Flamini on there, sort of taking up spaces. Maybe you might have the Ox, and you have Giroud, but that still to me looks light.
Really light. I mean, today, Jasper, the reason why Wenger didn't start Theo was because he had an alert after the Bayern game. That basically means he wasn't 100% fit. And so he didn't want to bring him on, and he didn't bring him on because he needs a couple more days before Sheffield Wednesday. He's probably going to have to play. Joel Campbell's going to play. How many games has he played this year? Right? So who else is going to have to play that should not really be playing? Right, today's result was absolutely massive. I think it's a massive win. I think it's a massive pointer to this team's focus and what they want to achieve. I mean, I've often said that Arsenal are not a serious club, but that team is now getting serious. They are preparing. They look coached. They look focused. And even when they're not playing well, I've always wondered what we do in moments of adversity, but they managed it really well. And my worry is, I'm totally with you. We're going to run out of players. That's my real worry. I mean, Alexis is right on the edge. Ozil and Cazorla surprised me today how focused they were and how fit they looked. But, if Alexis goes, we're in a bit above. I don't mean negative, but it worries me. Where's the offense going to come from, right? Where's the flying wingers? We can't call on Carlos Vela. We got no one there, right? So, there's no one there. There's no one who's got their legs together, right? So there's a little room in the papers today that Welbeck could be out for the whole season.
Really? Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I know it was that Wayne Versey guy who writes in the Metro, wherever it is. But you know what? Every time I see one of those rumours, it always tends to be true, right? So look at Jack. He had a little knock in training, and that was at the start of the season. It meant it'd be 2 weeks. Here we are. It's November in a week's time. We haven't seen him. We haven't seen him since, right? So it can happen.
I suppose you would like to think that if Arsenal found out that Welbeck was going to be out the whole season, they'd buy someone in January. But then this is Wenger we're talking about. He doesn't very often make impulsive decisions, does he? And emergency players.
It's sad that Gnabry's at West Brom and it's not going well for him, because I rate Gnabry quite a lot. I thought when he came in the other year and he scored that goal against Swansea, I was like, oh, we got a player here. And, it's not really worked out. I don't know if Pulis doesn't like him, if he doesn't suit his style or whatever, but he must have done something because Pulis brought him in. So, but for me, I don't know. I just feel quite bad for Gnabry. If there's a recall option, by all means, take it, because, like you said, it could be a case of just we need people to fill in the positions. Clive.
Yeah, well, Gnabry's he lost a complete season, right? So in the last 2 years, he's played hardly any competitive football. Right, so we can't expect him to come in and hit the levels of Arsenal, and that's why he's loaned him out to hopefully get in some football. But he's not playing. He's playing under 21 games for West Brom, and he might as well play under 21 games for Arsenal if he's going to do that. So we can look after him ourselves. But sometimes things happen. West Brom are not flying. I think they got a win today. If you're not flying, you're not going to play a kid from Arsenal. You're going to play your dogs. You know what Pulis is going to do? He's going to go tight and deep, and he's going to play his dogs. He's going to get his 1-0s, and then maybe you might see Gnabry playing when they're higher up the league. But until then, it's £100 million business, mate, next season. That's to come in last, so no chance.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting actually when our players go out on loan, we seem to have some sort of agreement. I don't know whether it's actually in the contract or not, but our players get a lot of games. You don't often see them go somewhere and not get played at all. So it's surprising about Gnabry. But I liked him as well when he played the other year, and I think he could be a useful addition. But we'll see what happens. But your point about Clive, about this sort of game being a 0-0 or a 2-2, in the past couple of seasons is spot on, and that's what I was expecting to happen when Everton grew in confidence in the second half. So it sort of leads me on to my next point about the second half. Basically, we carried on as we did in the first half, but then Everton just they created more chances in the second half, and it just very gradually they started to get themselves back into the game until by the end of it was pretty squeaky bum time, because they were getting in our box and getting in our final third much more than they did in the first half, and it was a worry. How did you feel about that, James?
Yeah, I thought that there was going to be more goals in it. I'm surprised there wasn't in the second half. I really thought like both teams are going to try really hard to get. I just thought it was going to be more. But we battled, which is a good trait for us at the moment. A lot of people praise us for how we attack and how we play, and everyone's like, "Oh God, they're so good to watch." But we're grinding, and that's something that we've spoke about. We haven't seen for many a year, so I'm happy championing that aspect. But the save from Cech, like literally, I'll go off on a bit of a tangent here. Many years ago, I had to work a 6 o'clock shift at my petrol station that I used to work in, and I got blind drunk the night before, and I stumbled in, and they obviously knew. One of my old supervisors knew, and he bought me a Ginster's pasty and went, "There you go," and I went, "Oh, You're a superhero," and he went, "Not all superheroes wear capes, James." And to be honest, Petr Cech for me epitomises not all superheroes wear capes. Honestly, that guy has been so good after, and they Callum and Judd talked about in the last game against West Ham and all that. We call them the knee jerkers, don't we?
Yeah.
All the time, like, "Oh, he's a fucking Chelsea reject. He was third choice there. Look, he's the only signing we've done. What a waste of fucking money. Should have got the defensive midfielder. Should have got the striker." And now he's everybody's, he's everybody's favourite player. Like you said, it just switches all the time. But honestly, that guy, when they said he will get you 12 to 15 points a season, he's doing it. He's doing it. He's so good.
I think he's already done it, hasn't he?
Yeah, I love him. I can't praise him enough. Like I said, it's so hard at the moment because everybody's like performing. Like normally you're used to getting people that just sort of do their job and they do okay, but everyone like front to back. I mean, Gabriel, when he did that tackle, his arms are launched in the. I'm like, yeah, go on, Gabriel. I'm like, this man's making me question the centre back partnership now. I know we got the listeners' questions coming up. That's one of them, but honestly, he makes me question that. He was absolutely incredible, and then everybody's laughing about this man who, great credit to him in that weather. He's in his swimming trunks and a swimming hat. And they're laughing about how funny that is.
Yeah.
And then we make a substitution. Oxlade-Chamberlain comes off for Matthew Flamini. You think, right, we're going to shore this up. He's playing further forward than G. He thinks he's bloody Frank Lampard or a striker. And he's had 3 chances. I'm like, Flamini, what the fuck are you doing? Get back. Like,
scores 2 goals. He scores 2 goals against Spurs, and suddenly he's fucking.
Yeah, he thinks he's Ian Wright. Yeah. He just went mental. Yeah. I couldn't believe it. I was gutted that header didn't go in because I love when he scores, because when he celebrates, if you get in his way, he'll knock your head off. You know that Newcastle guy years ago that like kicking the boards in and took his shirt. He reminds me of him in a way. You just think he's going to go absolutely mental. You don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the goalkeepers though, I mean, I probably get abused for this, but what I said after the Bayern Munich game was that if Szczesny's in goal for that game, we lose it, because we were lucky in some ways to win that game because Neuer made a cock up, and we were up against it. We had 27% of possession, so we rode our luck a bit, and we worked really hard. But for the chances they did create and the shots they had on goal, they needed world-class saves. They needed them, and I just think that someone like Szczesny, one of those would have gone in, and that's the difference. And
Szczesny's biggest problem is he was a drifter, so he'd be focused. Then all of a sudden, I don't know if he saw some cleavage in the crowd or something, a bird, and he'd switch off and then they'd score, and you'd be like, fucking hell, mate, the game's 90 minutes. Cech's just straight on, he knows what he's doing. He's there. He's in the zone for the whole game. Do you know what I mean? Like Szczesny, for me, just used to dip. he'd sort of like spring come to, and then the ball's already behind him, mate. It's too late. That's Szczesny's biggest problem.
Yeah, and he sort of always had those crazy moments who come running out of his box, which Cech seems to be far too mature to do. But
Not against Watford the other week, but he had to do something.
Yeah, he had to improvise then. But no, I don't know if you heard the Tuesday Club, the most recent episode of that, but Alan goes on a brilliant rant about the difference between Szczesny and Cech. It was really funny and bang on as well. So if you haven't heard that, I'd check that out. But yeah, Clive, that second half was a bit scary towards the end.
Yeah, it was, and I think actually when Everton scored, I was actually quite pleased it was just before half-time rather than just after half-time, right? Because we could get people in, settle them down, and say, okay, let's get back on our game. And when we came out after half-time, we really controlled it up until around, about 75th minute. We controlled it. We had chances. We had great, attacking play was still good. We were still creating. Ozil was getting better and better and better. A lot of times late in games now, what tends to happen is he goes out wide and Ramsey would come into the middle and they go 4-5-1. And they did it a little bit today when Famidi came on, although Famidi didn't really sit in his hole. But Ozil just finds the spaces out wide, and I thought, again, I'm looking at the game in the context of the games before. To play two performances like that, at that level of intensity, is really, really impressive. When you think in the international break, he played 2 games then, every minute of both games. He's not breaking down of a hamstring, touch wood. He's out there and he's getting better and better and better. And so that was really impressive. And then we got a bit shaky towards the end, right? And a few bad decisions. Everton are a decent side. They're going to have their moments. But again, it's the fine details, right? So on that Cech save, it was really interesting. Where he's smart, we had 2 players charging the ball down to one side. So rather than tuck himself behind the players, he covered the side of the goal where the 2 players weren't charging the ball down. And you think that's a really simple thing to do, but it's a smart thing to do. And it's those little decisions based on the fact he's 8 years more experienced than Szczesny that just makes a difference. He knows when to hold it. He knows when to throw it. He knows when to kick it. He doesn't throw it to people who are marked and they go through and score. He doesn't try to do Cruyff turns in the box. So there was some little incident I saw in the box. But yeah, he's just a proper professional, right? And from the moment you saw him, and I just didn't realise how serious a footballer he was when we played for Chelsea. You just look at his eyes, you look at his focus, and you look at what he's doing, talking to the defenders. I mean, I just don't know if we're ever going to get a better signing for 10 million quid than that. It's exactly what this team needed. And the other guy in front of him, Gabriel, is another player, exactly what we need. He's an Arsenal-type rugged defender that plays like we would if we were able to play, right? He just goes out, heads it, kicks it, chases it down. And he plays with such intensity, it's unreal. And of course now he's going to be a super cult hero after that tackle in the box later on and his reaction to that tackle. So, I mean...
Yeah, fist pump, yeah.
Fist pump, and I thought... And his one-on-one tackling is tremendous. He stays on his feet when he needs to, he goes to ground when he needs to. But what he's saying to the other team, there's no weakness here. Right? There is no weakness. You can't run me. I might be a bit untidy on the ball, but you can't run me, and I'm going to jump with you, and I'm going to fight you, and you're not going to come down my side. Right? So it's very interesting versus Bayern. I thought they were very smart offensively. Costa had chalk on boots, wide left, to pull Bellerin out there so they could isolate Mertesacker. Mertesacker said, I'm not having that. I'm playing the game of my life. And literally did play the best game I've ever seen him play for Arsenal because they're the best team I've seen us play for many, many years, right? And he stood up brilliantly. But when Gabriel plays, there's nothing to see here, right? You're not coming down my channel, and if you do, you're going to get some. Well, I love that about him, right? So, and it just gives us a bit of security, and more so at home. This is what I keep saying to people. When we're at home, there's a tendency to overcommit. When we overcommit, we need someone who's going to cover the ground quickly, get out to wide spaces if fullbacks are high, and he does it brilliantly well. And we got three fantastic central defenders, and we've got one that's a bit shaky, but he's still young. He may come back. But yeah, I thought the second half, what really impressed me is how we came out after half time. Yep, it got a bit edgy at the end, but we could have easily scored more goals, as well as Everton could have scored more goals, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, we created loads more chances. Again, just weren't quite clinical enough to finish them off. But, you know, the passes in the final third for a change were coming off. It just wasn't quite there to score that third goal. But, no, I mean, going back to what you're saying about Gabriel, what I like about him as well is that where we're lucky, or call it luck, call it good planning by the manager, whatever, but he's at that age where he doesn't mind if he's on the bench for a bit, because he knows Mertesacker's not getting any younger. He knows Mertesacker can't play every game. So he will get plenty of games throughout the season. He'll get enough to keep him interested until it's his spot, until Mertesacker finally retires. So he knows he's onto a good thing. So you're not going to hear him at the end of the season moaning about lack of games and saying, if I don't get games, I'm off. You know, he's just got an obvious pathway to play, as you would say, Clive. And so he's going to be very happy. He's going to keep proving his point, and he's doing it really well. So we've almost got three centre-backs of almost the same quality, which is very rare, because in the past we've always had two really good centre-backs, and behind them is Senderos and Giroud, you know, or a couple of trainees or a couple of people that are a bit error-prone. You know, but now we've got three brilliant centre-backs and one, you know, young Padawan who's on his way up, and he's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, I think Gabriel, they reckon he was the first player that was bought by that analytics company. Right? He bought this.
I heard that, yeah.
They bought his analytics company, and his data was so good. I mean, and so they bought him that was a key way to identify him anyway. Rather, they bought him without seeing him. So that was really good. And yeah, I mean, if you look at our recent signings, let's just think about it for a little while. I mean, we're making some good decisions with our signings. You know, I mean, every one of them has been a success up to a point. Every one of them's Arsenal quality. And, you know, just think this calendar year we've bought Gabriel and Cech, right? And we're talking about them now, right? So we played Manchester United, beat them 3-0 with no Koscielny. Now, that just could not have happened at any point in our recent history, that we win a game 3-0 against the top 4 team with no Koscielny. Koscielny doesn't play, we're hiding behind the settee. Do you know what I mean? Simple as that. Right, so it just tells you the small little things that are happening at the moment that give me real confidence. And those players like Gabriel, you know, what really impressed me was that when he didn't start for ages and suddenly was thrown in against Liverpool, it took him literally half an hour to find his feet. That first half hour was shocking from both of them. But once he found his feet, he hasn't lost it since. All right, so he's been spot on. So what that tells me is what he's doing while he's not playing is exceptional. He's keeping fit, he's keeping sharp. And this is my worry about Oxlade-Chamberlain. I love the player. What worries me is that when he's not playing, he's not the same player. It takes him a while to get going. It takes him a while to get sharp. But once he is sharp, he's unbelievable. And I think we've got to give him some time to get back to that. But you know, staying on Gabriel, you know, what a great signing he is for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll go to listeners' questions in a minute, so if you can get those ready, James, that would be great.
Yeah.
But before we do, it would be rude not to talk about Giroud, because he was voted man of the match, you know, by Thierry Henry. Maybe that was a way of, you know, backhandedly apologising for his comment about we'll never win the league with Giroud, but anyway, he's come out and explained himself a few times now, hasn't he? But no, he gave it to Giroud, and probably deservedly so, because all of his touches were great. And one of the things you always notice, I find, when Theo goes off and Giroud comes on, or one starts instead of the other, is that, you know, the long balls up to him, everything sticks. He wins all of them. It's ridiculous. And then when Theo's up front, he wins about 2 out of 10. You know, it's such a marked difference. I know they both have their qualities, and Theo's got the pace and all the rest of it, but Giroud in the air is just absolutely ridiculous. And every time he plays, I almost forget how good he is. And he reminds me, he flicks his header down, he knocks it down, he chests it down, and everything he wants to do with that aerial ball happens. And I thought he was really good today. What did you reckon, James?
Yeah, I thought he had a good game. Like, he proved me wrong. Certainly, like I said, I wanted Walcott to start, and obviously, I didn't know that he was sort of nursing an injury. So, to hear Clive say that earlier, I can sort of see why. And it proved right in the end. The competition for places is rife, which is good. All right, we're talking about we don't have many numbers, but in the main positions, there's a sort of competition going on. And Clive, you said it so many pods ago, I can't remember how many pods ago, where when these people come in, you expect them to give a performance, and sometimes they don't, and you're like, well, that was your chance, and you blew it. But today, Giroud, I thought he was the best Plan B in the Premier League, and, he's done a Plan A today, so fair play to the guy. I was very pleased.
Yeah, I think with Giroud, you sort of when a couple of years ago when he literally played every game, like 50 plus games, right? And by the end of it, he was carrying, a caravan behind him, right? He just couldn't move. But today, he looked really fresh in his movement. He looked really proactive. And there was a little headed pass with, he headed it back to Oxlade-Chamberlain. But when he's fresh, he's moved off the spot with Oxlade-Chamberlain and headed it back to him. And that sort of movement comes when you feel good, right? So, again, I thought he ragdolled Jagielka a couple of times. He made it hard for him. Stones is smooth. He's a very classy player. But he knew he was in a game today, and I just thought he gave the team a real focal point. And it's very impressive how they switched off. And I mentioned it earlier, but, we haven't played with Giroud consistently from the start of the game for quite a while now. And Giroud's come out there and said, I want to fight for this. I'm going to make sure that the team does well out of it. I don't know if anyone caught his interview afterwards, but he's really, really gracious. They're trying to say to him, how do you feel about not playing? And he just brushed it off, and said, it's about the team. But he can say that because he's gone out there and he has performed, right? And that's all you can do. Show the intent to try to perform. It doesn't always work out, but show the intent and then let the execution will come if you're doing the right stuff.
Yeah, I saw that interview, and funnily enough, I'm starting to really like him in interviews. He's quite a really personable guy, isn't he? He's humble,
Yes.
And he made me laugh whenever it was a couple of months ago when they gave him the Man of the Match award to give to Cazorla, and he just pretended Cazorla was there because Cazorla had disappeared, and he handed it to an invisible Cazorla, like really low down on the floor. He's taking a piss, but
he was another, wasn't he? His confidence was. Think about Zagreb. He was on the floor after that game. Right, he got sent off. We get beat away. He doesn't play in the Olympiacos game because he's banned. And we could have done with him in that game. We probably wouldn't have lost that game if he'd have played. And he's really, he's gone to France and he's got slaughtered playing for France, booed off the pitch. And suddenly he scores them 2 goals for France against Mickey Rouse Rovers, right? And then he comes back, scored a couple of goals, and then he's on. He's playing again. He's moving again. And I've learned a lesson really about myself, really. Confidence is very important with football. And when you look at our squad and you look at the sort of the bereft numbers that we have, well, you know what, we're going to slaughter Giroud, then what are we going to do? Who are we going to play?
I must admit I was surprised by how quickly he turned it around, because he's on bad form, and then all of a sudden, 2 games later, bang, he's back again. He really doesn't dip for very long, does he?
No, he doesn't. And Theo has moments. He has invisible man moments, right? So he has the 14 touch game. When he has those games, we look into the bench, and who are we looking at? If it's not Giroud, do you fancy Arteta to do the role? Because there's no one else, and this is what I keep stressing it. It's very important. I mean, that we as Arsenal fans, we recognise this group's got a chance, and we just got to support them.
Absolutely. Get behind people. Right, we better go to listeners' questions because time's getting on. James, hit me with the first one, please.
Yeah, we got a question from KB, who's on the Gooner Girls podcast. She said, would you agree that we've had a damned good October?
Hard to disagree with that, really, isn't it?
I don't know who wants to start, or if is that short and sweet. That's just a resounding yeah.
Yeah, well, the start of last week, you think about the Man United game sticks out for me, and the fact that the Bayern Munich one snuck up on us big time. I mean, that is incredibly impressive, and what's happening now is that we're going to big games, and that fear factor is just completely gone. It's just completely gone. 2 years ago, we were getting smashed 6 by everybody. it's just gone. We've got a team that can compete. We've got players all around the pitch that can compete. I mean, a couple of years ago, we go to Everton. They play Lukaku on the right-hand side to play him on Monreal. No one's playing anyone on Monreal right now. And when they do play somebody on him, they're getting completely pickpocketed. That guy tackles everyone without going to ground, with doing it at ease. So his improvement from a couple of years ago, where teams were targeting him, Man City targeted him as well, has completely gone. And the improvement in his group is really, really huge. It really is significant, you know. And so I feel a few of us a couple of years ago slaughtering Monreal. We want Gibbs to play. Now there's no decision, right? There is no decision. In fact, you know, the guy playing for Everton, we should be looking at him when Monreal gets too old. In 2 years' time, we're going to have to fork out a lot of money to get that kid because he can play, and he only faded towards the end, right? So watch out for that Galloway. I tell you, he's a player, right? So
you'd think with Baines gone, they'd be absolutely panicking, but he looks incredible, doesn't he? He looks brilliant.
They're not panicking at all, mate. They've got an absolute diamond there, right? Shows you that there's players out there. Sorry, mate. Just
to change the subject completely, throw an entire spanner in the works, I've got a listener's question of my own. You mentioned that the Bayern Munich game was sort of snug up on us. I mean, we played really well, but we were lucky to get away with the win in some ways, because there were parts of the game we couldn't string 3 passes together. It ended up going back to Bayern, and we just somehow toughed it out and then took our chances when they came. But you know, I agree with what Callum said. You know, another regular on the podcast is that he thinks we'll probably get beat at Bayern because we won't have the same luck twice. So I can't see us beating them again. As much as I enjoyed being in that stadium for Bayern and the fact that we won it, it was a fantastic feeling. Is there a tiny part of either of you that actually wants us to get knocked out of the Champions League because it might be the best chance we've got to win the league for years? I'll start with you, James.
No,
just wouldn't even entertain it.
For me, the Champions League, whether you want to, I get all the time people go, I don't like dealing in hypotheticals. I don't really, but at the end of the day, it's a knockout competition. Anything can happen. That Chelsea side that won it finished 6th, and our squad that we have is on par with the quality that was in that Chelsea side. Maybe there's 1 or 2 that were a bit, you know, better than what we have, but they finished 6th that year. And they had Di Matteo as their manager. I mean, Christ, come on. What's he done since? Nothing. So
he hasn't had a job since, has he?
you just can't call it.
No.
You just can't call it. And I feel, you know, if we're on a good little steady run, and you know, I'm not going to get carried away and going, we're going to win the champ. I'm not a Liverpool fan. You know, this is an Arsenal podcast. I'm not going to get carried away and say we're going to win fucking everything. But you know, you just can't call the Champions League. Maybe if we do go through, we'll fucking bottle it like we normally do, and then everyone will go, oh, look, James, we fucking bottled it. But we might win it. I don't know. But for me, it's a knockout competition, and I want to see Arsenal perform on the grandest stage, and I believe we can perform on the grandest stage. I mean, we have beat arguably the best team in Europe 2-0 in our garden, and I'm not worried. I'm not worried about that game against them over there. You know, if we lose, all right. And you know, they had a lot of absent players, but still, even if Ribéry, Robben, and all them, bring them on. I say, let's have it.
But what about the fact that when Liverpool weren't playing the Champions League, they came second, and you know, you make some great points. You make me question my opinion, but can we really beat Barcelona and Real Madrid? We might have to beat both of them to win the thing. I mean, I can't see that. I just can't see it in my wildest dreams. But I can see us sneaking up on Man City and overtaking them if they're having to play midweek games and we're not.
Could you see us beating Bayern Munich though? The first time, you know, the other week, did you think we would have beat Bayern Munich?
What, Tuesday night?
Yeah.
I had a good feeling about it, but I literally, to be honest, I literally didn't know what would happen. I didn't think, oh, they're just going to batter us. Lewandowski's going to put 6 away. Wasn't thinking that at all. I thought this could go either way because we're on form, you know, and they're on form. And I honestly thought that, you know, we could have got something out of it. But what I don't think now is that we can do that again not only to them but also to Barcelona and Real Madrid, because they're different types of threat, different types of attacking threat.
Yes.
We can't do that Man City blueprint number on everyone. I can't see it. No, I can't see it.
It could happen, right? It could happen, but what do you want? I don't want to finish third in that group. No, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Thursday is Spurs Day. It's not Arsenal Day.
Exactly.
That's not a day I want to watch football. That's for sure. So, you know what? You got to say, Arsenal showed a maturity on Tuesday night that was way beyond what I thought they could achieve against that team, because that team is basically the best team in the world right now, right? Because the Spanish teams, they're not at it yet, right? They're just jogging through the season until it gets serious. But Bayern Munich, they won again today. They've won every single game basically this season. They won it so easily, and they were sharp. They were playing well, and we've beaten them, right? So, many games we've lost by not handling those moments of adversity. And what we did is that we stayed in the game long enough for something to go for us, and that's okay. That's how you win football matches. Man United won many leagues doing that. Chelsea, I don't like mentioning them, but that is a classic Chelsea performance, what we did on Tuesday night. We did it to Bayern Munich. No one cares that Chelsea had about 1% possession in the Nou Camp in the semi-final, and they ran away in the last minute and scored. No one cares about that, right? They've been the first London team to win the Champions League. Sometimes you don't win it like you played against Manchester United for 20 minutes. You can't do that for every minute of every game, right? So what's really, really impressed me was almost the different styles between the Tottenham game, the Man United game, the Bayern Munich game, and the Everton game. Different styles, different personnel, all, big teams we'd have been crying if we'd have lost to, and we won them all. And I think the team deserve a massive amount of applause for that.
Yeah, I agree with you. We put up different challenges against different teams, and it's been seriously impressive. But do you not think that if we keep going further and further in the Champions League, it could harm our chances of winning the league in a year when, Man United are still adjusting to a new manager. Chelsea have fucked it right up. Let's have a glass of champagne to that. And so really our only serious rival is Man City. Can you not see that not being in the Champions League now would be a massive boost, especially with our injury record?
I can't say you haven't got a good point, right? Because again, I'm just worried about the amount of games that we're having even now, right? So we got Sheffield Wednesday. I think after that we got Swansea away. Right? We don't normally do well at Swansea away, right? And then it's Bayern Munich away, right? And then it's Tottenham. So that's three massively intense games that we've got to do well in. So really, you'd like to rest all 11 on Tuesday night against Sheffield Wednesday. But, we can't. I can't. I'm trying to pick a team without any of those 11 that played today. It's going to be really hard, So that's the one worry I have. We're about 2 or 3 light due to injury. And, as soon as we lose someone with a hamstring, I'm afraid all the people are going to come out of the woodwork again saying we should have bought a striker, we should have bought a holding midfielder. And that threat is still there to the squad, because we're playing some big boy football now, very intense games, and we're just a hamstring tweak away from a real issue.
Yeah, I agree with you. We played some really intense games. We've lost players. We're going to play some more. So we need to be crossing our fingers like mad in the next few weeks. Anyway, that was my question. What's the next one up from the listeners, James?
Yeah, we got 2 that are sort of similar, so I'll sort of link them together. Marcus Powell, who's at Marcus Powell 87, said, with the decent run we've been on, do you think we still need to sign a striker in January? And if so, who, in brackets realistically? And then Guna Matata, that's a great name. He at Matty Powell, he's gone, do you think Wenger will sign a striker if we win the league this season? Brackets, pointless question. So, in terms of Marcus's question, realistically, in January it's going to be hard, but you can sign anybody. Like Arsenal, everybody's got a price. For me, all this discussion about, we can't afford this one, we can't afford that one. everybody's got a price. You can buy anybody on any day if you want to. But in terms of if we're still in Europe and everything else, and players being cup tied, it's going to be very hard. You know, if you look in the Premier League at some of their strikers, all right, I don't agree with what you said about the Japanese and everything else. Someone like Jamie Vardy's banging in goals for fun. I don't think he's the type of player Arsenal would go for. But it's really hard to find. You know, I think we struggled with it in the summer, but then we did sort of put all our eggs in the Benzema basket, if rumours are to be believed. So it's going to be really hard to find a striker. You know, all right, Liverpool got Suarez in January many years ago, but that's because they lost Andy Carroll and everything else. So it's going to be difficult for me personally. I couldn't pluck a name out of the hat. I know which ones I'd want, but realistic, they're not going to be realistic. So
see, I have a thought on this, right? So I actually don't think January is as hard as some people make out, and this is my theory, right? Because all the players that we tend to want to buy are playing in Europe. So sometimes some of the players have been knocked out of Europe. So what teams then do is they then readjust themselves financially. And sometimes they'll look at their league position, especially in some of the leagues where it's not a contest. It's okay, we're out of the Champions League now. That player we were holding on for in the summer to see how we did in Europe, we can now sell them, right? So I think sometimes you can get the players you wanted to get in the summer once the season's defined for those teams, right? So you get a situation where another team may have a good player, but they've not done well in the league. So rather than hold him, they'll sell him and then start the rebuilding process, right? So there is opportunity out there. You just got to find the right one, right? So I couldn't really. The players I like they're sort of tucked up, right? So I couldn't really think of anyone right now. Midfielders I can. Midfielders there's a couple that I like. The guy at Sevilla I think is really good. The Polish guy. I really like how he plays. You know, I think he's got real dominance about him, real physicality, and I think he's decent. But again, with Wenger, you can't really call it. He's got a lot of players out on loan, some very good players.
Is it Nolito, the boy, the Spanish striker? Is he the Spanish striker I keep reading about all the time?
But suddenly we read about him, then you read he's got a contract, and then you read that he's 28, and then you think, hold on, we're just being played here. Yeah. We're just being played. Oh, Barcelona really, it's a contest between Barcelona and Arsenal. I never heard of him, right? And
no, I'm going to say I can't sit here and tell you about him. No.
It's the same old stuff, and I've never heard of him. I did YouTube him because I'm sad. He looked all right, but nothing special, So, all the French boys that you were loving before pre-season, James, they've gone a bit quiet, right? They've signed it.
Yes, Mr. Lacazette is not on the form he was on.
They've gone a bit quiet, so. Yeah, you know what? If Arsenal are going to buy a striker, they've already identified him. I think a lot will depend on Wilshere and Welbeck. Dare I say it, they could be like new signings right at Christmas time, ready to play. And they're going to be very important if they do get back to some sort of fitness.
Well, and Walcott, I mean, for me, to answer the second part of that question of whether we'll buy a striker, at the end of the season, that depends on how Walcott does. We're taking a risk. We're playing him up front. So far, he's done well. If he gets better and better throughout the season, and he ends up notching up 20 goals plus, then Wenger, if I know him at all, will say, well, what's the point in going out and spending 60, 70 million on world-class striker when we've got a Giroud that can score 20, Theo can score 20, Welbeck can chip in with another 15 or whatever, plus all the goals from midfield. That's how he thinks, as far as I'm concerned. And he's not mad about buying players in January either.
No, we're thinking about a new striker. I bet you what he's thinking. He's thinking, okay, I might make a decision on Joel Campbell on against Sheffield Wednesday, right? Because again, in the international break, he scored. I don't know how he's playing. He didn't seem to be getting much trust or much minutes at Arsenal, but we're gonna see someone that could take out a wide position and at least give someone a rest. That's our issue at the moment. We're not resting anybody. If Welbeck's playing, then Sanchez isn't as tired as he is.
That's just
right. And then we don't have to drop him for Sheffield Wednesday. So it's very important. We're playing players a little bit longer. If Welbeck's playing, and Ramsey hasn't got a hamstring pull because he doesn't play against Watford. So it's that's the issue that we have. We're just a little bit light, which goes back to your point, Jasper, that maybe to reduce the games. But I don't want to reduce European games. I mean, Arsenal, we all love the club, right? But if we're really honest, the one stain in our history is our lack of impact in Europe, right? We have got a shocking European record for the size of club that we are. They say that we're the biggest club in the Champions League to never won the Champions League. We've just
Probably about right.
And Wenger's played the most and managed the most games without us actually winning it. And our coefficient, we were 5th 2 years ago. We're now 11th or 12th at the moment. So that is where we got to step up. So I don't want to throw it. If anything, I want to see the club build a squad so we can actually do something in it. All right? And so, again, to your point, until we do we want to be in it? Well, Tuesday night, they're special nights. I mean, you was there, mate. How special was that?
It was amazing. It was amazing. That's where I'm kind of contradicting myself a bit, because I'd love to be there. I'd love to see us beat the big teams. One of my favourite games in the Arsenal history is when we beat Barcelona, 2-1, and we were only team to beat them on their way to winning.
Yep.
Those nights are incredible. But the reason I changed my mind and contradict myself now is because of what's happening in the league. If it was one of those leagues where, Chelsea are on top form, City are on top form, United on top form, and it was basically a 4-horse race, then, we might as well be in every competition. But because now, people are going to say I'm jumping the gun, we're only 9-10 games in, but, it is looking early doors like a 2-horse race between us and City, because Chelsea are out of it, and Man United, they could win the league, but it would be pretty amazing in Van Gaal's second ever season. Or was it first full season, isn't it? I don't know. It's, his first proper season to do that while he's bought new players. They're still adjusting to his methods. That would be incredible. That's why, if you boil it down, I think it's basically a 2-horse race, and therefore it's the first opportunity, the best opportunity for many years to win it, and we should take that. And therefore, if we get knocked out, it will be a bonus. And, I don't want us to throw it either, but I'm just thinking that there's a part of me that thinks I'll actually be quite grateful, because we've seen us get knocked out year after year. We qualified for 18 years. We haven't won it for 18 years, whereas the league, I think we actually can win it this year. And that's what everybody's saying. But anyway, I'll stop ranting on about that, because I still don't know whether I'm right or wrong.
No one's wrong here.
Exactly. Time will tell, as they say. Time will tell.
Exactly.
But another question, please, James, and then we'll wrap up.
We just got one from a man who appears on this pod quite not as often as he used to, but Plymouth Gooner, old PG. He said, "Who's our best centre back pairing, and who should start as our main striker, Giroud or Theo?" Who I know we sort of glazed over him a bit earlier, but for me, I think Gabriel and Koscielny are nailed on now. But I will say, Mertesacker still has glimpses of being a great player. Right, the legs aren't there, but like you said, Clive, earlier against Bayern Munich, he's incredible. So that's that one. And then for me, I think Theo, when he's starting, he's doing things now that he wasn't doing years ago. He's really performing. So I would stick with Theo. However, Giroud today, raises the question as well.
Yeah, well, for me, briefly, first of all, PG is a cheeky, greedy bastard because he's asked 2 questions in one tweet, which is against all the rules. But, the centre-back thing is a tricky one. I think over time it will become Gabriel. But because Koscielny and Mertesacker play so many games together and they know each other so well, if I had a big game tomorrow against a top 4 team, that's what I'd put out. But we'll probably be saying something different next season. You never know. And as for the striking thing, I don't want to sit on the fence and be boring, but I still think you just pick it according to the team and you take into account who's on form. When Giroud was having his dip, Theo was on fire, so it wasn't a difficult decision. And now that Giroud's coming back, now you've got a decision to make. But I wouldn't say, right, nine times out of 10 I start Giroud. I think it's brilliant that we've got this problem and that we can just pick and choose depending on who we're playing against. And even change our mind halfway through the game. I think that's just a great problem to have because they offer different things. So I'm not actually gonna come down on one side of the fence and say this player is better than the other because they offer totally different things. Clive.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think football is going to end up like a little bit like rugby in some regards. I mean, rugby is a 23-man squad on the day, and most of them know they're going to play. It wouldn't surprise me in a few years' time if if the league goes to 4 substitutions, right, rather than 3. At this level now, the money that's being spent on players, the opportunity to play is really important. If there could be some rules about substitution times, that would be interesting. But for me, the most important thing is we're not petrified anymore if Mertesacker doesn't play. We're not petrified anymore if Giroud's having a bad moment, right? So, which tells you that, we've got the right players in backup, and more importantly, we're managing to adapt to the style of those players seamlessly, game on game. So that's really important. So for me, it's all about the squad, right? It's all about the squad. Gabriel is top class, right? So I spoke about him, I think, on my first ever pod. I said, this kid is coming, right? So he doesn't take much. If you watch a football, you look at someone, you look at his speed, look at his agility one-on-one, you look at his jumping power, you look at his aggression on the front foot, you look at what he does when he's running in behind. And you think to yourself, you know what, he needs to brush up on his distribution, and we've got a world-class player there. And he's 25, and he will do that. And it's going to be fun watching him get better, right? So, and by then, Koscielny will be about the same speed as Mertesacker, so we just change roles. Do you know what I mean? So, and that's how it's going to go. Well, we got the pathways in place, right? So, and it's great planning from the manager, to be honest.
Absolutely. And it's funny because Gabriel, we were talking about him earlier, having 3 great centre-backs, it shows we've got a deep squad. And then Theo, the fact that we can rotate him with Giroud and we're not petrified, if, as you say, if Giroud is having a dip, is depth of squad. So at the same time we're saying the squad's too shallow, we're also saying it's nice and deep. So we contradict ourselves beautifully there.
But if Welbeck's there, I'll be a lot happier, because then he can cover the whole front line. If Jack was there, he's a multi-positional midfielder. Plays holding midfield for England. He plays out wide both sides. He can play the number 8. He can play the number 10. Those 2 players are huge players. If we can just get them back healthy, that could be your league there, Jasper, mate. Those 2 are key, right? So just got to get back.
Yeah. So I suppose what we're saying, to sum it up, is it's a deep squad as long as everyone's fit. But yeah. No, it is a good squad. But on that massive contradiction, it's time to end. So thanks very much, James.
No worries, thank you.
And thank you very much, Clive.
Thank you very much.
That's been good fun. I've enjoyed that. And for our listeners, if you want to follow us on Twitter, it's @GoonerRamblePod. We've got RSS feeds. If you're listening on YouTube, press the subscribe button. Subscribe on iTunes. Basically, just look out for us because we're always there. Thanks a lot. And we will be there for Sheffield. So look out for that. And look forward to speaking to you then. Cheers.